What's going on, everybody? Quick disclaimer up top here. Prior to editing this episode, a couple individuals raided my workspace. They were sporting black suits and sunglasses for whatever reason. Anyways, they proceeded to confiscate our audio card, saying that it had something to do with giving proof of alien life form or something like that. But luckily, they are clearly a couple rookies because first off, they forgot to neuralyze me. And secondly, they forgot that this is also a video podcast, which means that we have video audio as well on that card, albeit kind of crappy. Needless to say, I have exhaustively enhanced, edited, mixed, etc. the crappy audio from the video file in order to make this, for the most part, a very pleasurable listening experience. That being said, there will be particular moments in this episode that you will clearly notice that it was camera audio. Overall, though, I think you'll have a great time enjoying Men in Black Alien Attack. Have a good one.
Welcome to For Your Amusement, a theme park podcast that aims to exhaustively evaluate the world's most popular theme park attractions to determine if they are world class. I'm Ryan Bergara.
I'm Byron Marin.
And for this episode's featured attraction, we attempt to be the best of the best of the best to discuss Men in Black Alien Attack. And joining us is the best of the best of the best. Please welcome Quincy Stanford from AllEarsNet.
Hi, thanks for having me.
I have not ridden this ride as many times as I would have liked, I will say.
Likewise. And that's why we have Quincy here.
Yeah, I've ridden it an embarrassing number of times, which is the minimum, I think.
How many times do you think you had to really put a number on it?
I would say I've ridden this ride at least 50 times, but it's probably more.
I'm jealous.
Yeah.
And as always,
Numbers up.
I gotta get those numbers up. I'm not gonna be a galactic defender with that kind of shit. And as always, please like and subscribe to keep us alive if you're watching the video version over on youtube.com/@FYApod. Or if you're listening to the audio version, subscribe and rate the podcast 5 stars wherever you get your podcasts. And consider supporting us on our fourth wall, which is a different version of Patreon. You can join our fourth wall and become a park hopper, or as Byron calls it, an FYA hole, by heading to FYApod.com. It'll help us keep this madness going, but you'll also get up to 3 monthly bonus shows, in addition to the free main show that you're tuning into right now. And that's also where our merch is, if you want to, put rides on your forehead. I don't have the hat on right now, so that doesn't really work, but normally I would have that on my forehead. Merch-wise, I don't have a tattoo, though I have thought about it.
You got it on your chest, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, nipple to nipple.
I was thinking heart, but nipple is good.
No, yeah, it's just big in block letters. But you'll never see that. Unless you head on over to FYA. Quincy, thank you for coming on here. Now, as always, we do have our guest pick the rides. We have them send over a list of 5 rides, and usually we're able to find one from there that would work. Men in Black Alien Attack.
Yeah.
What brought you to this?
Well, this, I think, is the best shooter attraction of all time. And I feel like not enough people are saying that, so I want to be the one to say it. Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to run down the list really quickly. So, just to test that, Men in Black Alien Attack or Buzz Lightyear Astro Blast?
Men in Black Alien Attack.
MIB or Midway Mania?
MIB.
MIB or Monsters Inc. or Hide and Go Seek?
MIB.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Is there anyone Men in Black or Berry Tales? And Knott's Berry.
To be fair, I haven't been to Knott's Berry, so I can't.
You haven't been to Knott's Berry?
I haven't been to Knott's Berry. It's on my list. I know. I hear it's fantastic, but probably not as good as MIB.
We were just offlining that Quincy comes down 2 times a year to go to Disneyland for coverage because they do great coverage over there at AllEars. Obviously, probably know that publication if you are watching this podcast. But yeah, you gotta fit into Knott's.
I know. I think it's next trip. Next trip, I think we're going to head to Knott's.
Oh my God, it's going to blow your mind.
I'm so excited. I love berries, so.
I mean, that's the place to be.
That feels like kind of the baseline for it.
That's right. Boys and Berry Fest coming up.
Don't discount the Knott's chicken dinner. So.
Okay.
It's quite good. And you won't have to eat for weeks. But no, this ride, I do think somehow, despite like the true e-ticket nature of its builds, flies under the radar.
Yeah, I mean, I think that for one, it's in the very back of the park, which...
That's fair by Simpsons.
Yep, and it's like behind Simpsons, which is really flashy, and Wizarding World, which is obviously that's what they're there for.
Yeah.
So I think that it just gets kind of like tucked back there. I also think it has a lot of like throughput. So it has shorter lines, which makes people who aren't familiar think that it's not popular.
Yeah.
When in fact, it's just putting a lot of people through really fast. But I don't know. People who aren't writing this are wrong.
The thing that stands out to me from what you just said, too, is it's behind The Simpsons, which is just a natural deterrent.
Yeah.
It's like a bee's stinger.
If you have to pass Homer Simpson to get somewhere, are you really going to go?
They should just hide a pile of $1 million a la Mr. Beast right behind the Simpsons ride. I guarantee you not one person would be a millionaire.
No, they wouldn't find it because they wouldn't go past.
You'd see the giant crusty head and be like, I'm good. It's not being done any favors by the theming around it. Also, it's just because it's like the last remnant of it feels like that era.
Yeah. It's kind of in the same boat as like E.T., where it does feel very old Universal Studios. And it's not as well known as E.T., so then it's just back there. But it's like Men in Black is a great movie. Everyone should be talking about Men in Black more and the ride. So
when I was doing the research for this ep, I actually was watching a couple clips from Men in Black. And I did that thing where, I don't know if you guys have done this, where you've fallen into a YouTube hole and you basically end up watching the whole film via movie clips. Mm-hmm. And at some point, I was like, what the fuck? I'm just going to fire up the film on streaming. And I just exited YouTube and I ended up watching Men in Black. And I was like, dude, this shit is good.
Yeah.
Still.
It feels like it's a classic that no one really acknowledges as a classic, but it's good.
It's a tight 90. I think it also got kind of buried by the sequels.
Agreed.
A little bit. Including even some of the Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones ones. MIB 3, pretty atrocious. And I didn't even see the Chris Hemsworth, the joint that came out in 2019.
Yeah, I don't acknowledge that as existing.
But anyways, let's talk some first impressions. And we'll start with you, Quincy. What was the first thing you thought when you got on this ride?
Well, I don't remember the first time I rode it because I was probably 11, but...
You remember when you were 11?
I don't remember yesterday.
Oh my God.
I don't know. I
You do a lot of boxing matches at AllEarsNet?
No, but maybe we should. That could be good.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I don't remember the first time I rode this. My one memory from that trip is the tiger photo op they have at Islands of Adventure, which is really nice, exciting, and totally the thing that you should remember from a theme park. But I know that my general first impression from Men in Black was this was the first shooter attraction that I had ever ridden where there weren't targets.
Yes.
And that is huge for me because I'm all I love immersion, obviously. I'm all about immersive environments. And I think that this ride does that so well because there aren't targets. You're actually shooting the aliens and it works. Sometimes there's oh, you can get bonus points if you shoot this one thing and there's not a target, but it doesn't really work when that happens on other shooter rides.
Yeah.
On Men in Black, the way you gain points makes sense, even though there aren't targets, and it feels really immersive. The story's fun and funny. So I know that the targets was the first thing as I was like, why are they giving me a target? I don't like that. I want no target. I just want to shoot an alien.
So as an 11-year-old, you were like, I like that the gameplay is realistic to life.
Presumably.
I could actually kind of picture that.
Yeah.
I could see you.
That's what I'm saying.
Being a precocious young child. Being solid game design on this ride.
Finally, at last. I'm not looking at all of these immersion-breaking targets.
I'm imagining your glasses being the exact same size, too.
Oh, yeah, but they're
your head is just yeah, like the girl from Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Byron, what was your first impression of this, given the fact that you haven't been on this that much?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So this is really sad, but I did not experience this until after 2020.
Wow.
So I think it was 2021 or 2022 was actually the first time I experienced this. And it was kind of, you kind of touched up on it earlier where, yes, it's tucked in the back of the park. The limited times that I would go to Universal Orlando, because family growing up, we just do Disney World. And then once Wizarding World opened, I was able to convince them to do a tack-on day where you're, primarily doing Islands of Adventure. And if you're able to sneak over to Universal, the Studio Park, you'll get over there, but you're maybe just doing Revenge of the Mummy, a couple and toward the front. And like you mentioned, once you get to Simpsons, you're all right, we have this in Hollywood.
Bring it back around.
And up here. And you do see on the app constantly that the wait times for this are pretty short. I grew up very fond of the Buzz Lightyear attraction. So when you can contrast Buzz Lightyear that had a decent demand back in the day.
Yeah.
And I did have such a good time on it.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of wrote this off as a discount.
Yeah.
Buzz Lightyear. So when I wrote it a few years ago for the first time, yeah, I was shocked.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, wait, why are people sleeping on this? This is a really fun attraction. It's kind of like a sensory overload. I just remember by the end of this attraction spinning out of control and being like, all right, I'm in. Like, yeah, I get it. This is, but I would have never gone on this unless it was like content creators such as yourself being like, hey, this is a good ride. Like, I like this ride. So yeah, just really succeeded my expectations. And, I'm sure by the end of this episode, I'm just going to be itching to get back there.
Yeah.
Well, I'm already itching. Like, I've only been on this ride a couple of times. By the way, I do want to note, for those of you who are watching the video version, and maybe this is your first episode you've tuned into because you're a fan of AllEars, I just want to point out that Byron, the man who's sitting next to me on my left, does not always wear sunglasses in these episodes like he's Bono or something like that. It's like a half Men in Black costume because he only wore sunglasses and he has a black shirt on. Like a
I got black jeans.
Yeah. It's because right now it's almost kind of giving like Fat Thor.
I want my margarita.
Anyways, I just want to point that out. Someone like tuning in this being like, "What the fuck is this?" Yeah, I didn't get on it till it was 2020 and
Sunglasses.
For me, I went on this for the first time in 2016, I believe, which was the first time I actually went to the Universal Orlando Resort. And I mean, the main attraction that I was stoked to get on was E.T. just because
Of course.
it had been taken away from me in Universal Studios Hollywood. So I was eager to get onto that, which, by the way, in and of itself, also a hard thing to find.
Mm-hmm.
They have trouble with the layout in Universal.
Yeah,
that was my first impression of the park in general.
Yeah, it's brutal to have to walk anywhere there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially Men in Black. They should put on the homepage, like, we have Men in Black.
Like when you buy your ticket, it should be on the ticket.
By the way, there's stuff behind the Simpsons.
With like a little walking path, like where you see Krusty and it's like a big X over Krusty the Clown and like a little walking arrow that passes it to go to Men in Black.
Well, we only have to suffer through that for 2 more years.
That's true.
They act like they're embarrassed to have it.
They really do. I mean, shouldn't they be?
Oh, no, I'm talking about...
Oh, you're talking about Men in Black.
Just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Make sure.
No. Men in Black, they should not be
back there. They don't like promote it too much.
No.
I mean, I get it that the ride's old now.
Yeah.
But I always got the sense that they're just kind of embarrassed.
They never talk about, you're right, they never talk about it. It's never in any of the promotional videos or material. No. And like, it rules. Like, I think it's my favorite ride at Universal, both parks, except for maybe Hagrid's because, you know, it's great. But
Hagrid's is awesome.
Yeah, it's like, it's hard to be Hagrid's. But other than that, like, it's so sick. And it's just like, nobody ever talks about it. They don't use it as a selling point.
Coaster.
Yeah, Velocicoaster's good. I black out on roller coasters. So.
Okay, that's fair. Okay, that's a good disclaimer there. So I was about to say that's kind of blasphemous.
Yeah.
For me, you know, after Will Smith smacked the shit out of Chris Rock, I would have just like really pushed the promo for this ride. Like, you want to see this guy up close and personal?
We've got him.
We've got him at home. He won't smack the shit out of you, but he will accost you verbally.
Mm-hmm.
But my first impression of this was similar to Byron, being an Astro Blasters boy. I was like, wow, this ride is so much more involved than I could have ever possibly imagined, given what I've heard about it, which is nothing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe just the marketing didn't make its way over to SoCal. But I was just shocked by the level of animatronics, the set build.
Mm-hmm.
I might agree with you. I think it might be the best shooter in the world.
Yeah. I mean, I really I've done a lot of shooters, and this one, really.
I go back and forth with Toy Story Mania, but
No way.
for my personal taste, there's really cool things that Toy Story Mania does in terms of like the gameplay, but at the end of the day, just like going through practical sets is just like something else. And so I think I might have to give the edge to Men in Black.
That's good. You just like the muscle memory of Toy Story Mania?
Well, you've never used that joke before. I wasn't expecting this to happen.
Anyways, let's move on to the history here, Byron. How did this come to be, and how did nobody know about it?
Well, they did at one point.
People in Orlando know
there.
about it. Us SoCal folks, we just didn't hear about this.
Oh, we'll take this back to the mid-90s, because in the mid-90s, Universal creatives were spread thin. They were developing Universal Studios Japan while simultaneously constructing the second gate to their Universal Orlando Resort, Islands of Adventure. And on top of all this, leadership felt that a big new attraction at Universal Studios Florida would also be needed in order to mitigate the anticipated imbalance of crowds. obviously caused by Islands of Adventure. Disney, by the way, had this same idea.
I was about to say, yeah.
Back when California Adventure was being built. They didn't need to worry.
What did? No, I was just going to ask though. What did they build at Disneyland to mitigate the kind of anticipated rush of people going over to California Adventure?
They never went through with it, but Disneyland was anticipating before Tower of Terror went to California Adventure. Disneyland was planning to do a potential Frontierland drop tower ride. And they would have built it after California Adventure to try and lure people back. But once California Adventure fell flat on its face, they're like, nope, give them Tower of Terror. We're moving it over there. So it's like a reverse Uno card. But anyways, back to the Universal Orlando Resort, where leadership felt that they did need to build an e-ticket attraction over at the Studios Park. With Islands of Adventure coming in here, multiple ideas floated around in regards to what this attraction should be, and the answer found them at the perfect time, because on July 2nd of 1997 came the release of Men in Black. The sci-fi action movie starring Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones was co-produced by Steven Spielberg's Amblin Entertainment and would collect over $589 million worldwide during its theatrical run.
I make this look good.
This exciting new franchise quickly won over the interest of Universal creatives and became the new attraction of choice for their studios park. And over the course of roughly 28 months, development and construction for the attraction ran at breakneck speeds. Universal's creative team would inherit the spinning ride system used for Islands of Adventure's Cat in the Hat, combine it with innovative gameplay, and enclose everything within a 55,000 square foot show building. And on April 14th of 2000, Men in Black Alien Attack officially opened to high praise and demand. Following the opening of Alien Attack, multiple film sequels would be released over the years that would help ensure the attraction's relevance and longevity. Now, only weeks away from its 25th anniversary, Men in Black Alien Attack is still training unsuspecting tourists to this very day and remains one of the park's most highly respected attractions for those still willing to give it a spin.
Very good. I have to admit, there's nothing that gives me greater joy than imagining Tommy Lee Jones on this ride.
Oh, wow. I've never done that, and I'm like doing it now.
It's almost impossible. Famously, by the way, a guy who does not sanction buffoonery. Do you know that story?
No.
So, just a really quick side detour here on Tommy Lee Jones. When him and Jim Carrey were cast together in the Batman film, I think it was called Batman Forever or whatever. Yeah. Tommy Lee Jones was Two-Face. Jim Carrey was the Riddler. Jim Carrey went to a restaurant in Hollywood, and who does he see sitting there but Tommy Lee Jones? So he walks over and goes, "Hey, can't wait to start shooting with you." And Tommy Lee Jones looks up at him, looks back down at his food, and says, "I cannot sanction your buffoonery."
Oh.
And that was the end of the conversation. It's the funniest quote I've ever heard. Just telling someone, not even to their face, he couldn't even say it to, he didn't even look him in the eyes. "I cannot sanction you, buffoonery." It's so good. And just imagining that guy on this ride being like, "You want me to shoot one?" is really good.
Yeah. I'm going to start saying that to everyone.
You should say that to everyone at AllEarsNet.
Yeah, I am. And they're going to say, "You literally ask us to do buffoonery."
They'll probably be like, "What kind of buffoonery would you like to see?"
Cat leader.
This buffoonery that I'm not sanctioning. Other buffoonery.
Very, very Muppet Vision.
Yeah.
I can almost guarantee he's never been on this ride. I would put my life on it.
Yeah.
Tommy Lee Jones has never been on the ride we went. Well, he's not in the ride, though. That's probably why he's not in the ride, because he couldn't sanction.
There's a little just Will Smith, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Will Smith is like, I could totally see Will Smith. I mean, frankly, let's be honest. If any of us got the offer to be in a theme park ride, I'm doing it for free.
I'm sanctioning that buffoonery.
Oh, for sure. I do nothing but buffoonery. Anyways, let's move on to some fun facts. The ride is about 4.5 minutes long with a ride capacity of 1,800 riders per hour and a reported cost of $70 million to build, which, a fair amount of coin for that time. Mm-hmm. Trivia time. We're going to start immediately with some trivia here. How many alien animatronics are featured in this ride?
It's more than 100.
Okay. I'm not going to give any indication whether that's in the positive or negative direction.
I'm going to go with 118.
I think it's 150.
Price is Right rules have it going to Quincy. It's 127.
Dang it.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
An impressive amount of animatronics for any ride. period. That was, like I was saying, the first impressions, one of the things that stood out to me the most about this, because I'm a sucker for practical effects. Even, in 2016, we were already in, the impending screen crisis that we're in now.
Yep.
But 127, really cool. So kudos to the Universal creative team.
Only 9 off.
That's a lot of aliens.
That's a lot of aliens. To be killed by me. The ride takes place between the first and second film canonically, explaining the lack of Mr. Tommy Lee Jones, as Kay retired at the end of the first film, but also because he probably told them to go fuck themselves. Steven Spielberg makes a cameo in the ride. Did you guys know this? As a disguise. Worn by an alien that's reading a newspaper in the New York section of the attraction. In fact, it's a gaggle of small aliens kind of doing like Muppet Man, where they all, get on top of each other.
Like the equivalent of 3 raccoons in a trench coat.
Exactly.
But 3 aliens in Steven Spielberg.
It's very good. And it's really, honestly, it's kind of a stretch to call it Steven Spielberg. The only, it's just the hat, I guess.
Yeah.
Because Spielberg, as you all know, had a huge consulting deal with Universal Creative, so... he actually had some notes on this ride, which we'll get into later. Aliens are able to counterattack in this ride, which causes your ride vehicle to spin, which is very fun.
You're shooting an infrared beam out of the gun, which activates a sensor on the character.
As Byron mentioned, the ride was made very quickly with a development schedule of only 28 months, about half the time of a normal attraction. As such, they attempted to use existing ride vehicles, even putting makeshift targets in the amazing adventures of Spider-Man overnight to test the vehicle's capability, but found it too hard to hit the targets, so they eventually landed on modified versions of the ride vehicles featured in the Cat in the Hat attraction. Before landing on Men in Black, the space occupied by the attraction was actually slated for other IP. Namely, Byron, I'm sure you saw this in your history. Did you know that this ride was almost an indoor roller coaster based on the 1995 film Apollo 13?
I have heard this. I read an interview. This came out many years ago, by the way. I think it was a Theme Park Insider Q&A with the creative director of this ride, David Cobb. And he said that the indoor roller coaster was like a brief idea, but since there was a time constraint and yes, an immediate mandate for Men in Black, they settled on this ride system pretty quick.
Nonetheless, there were 3 ideas actually that were almost put into green light. Apollo 13 indoor roller coaster, which would have had guests in a lunar lander style capsule, kind of rotating around the moon, I suppose. And then the other 2 attractions are even stranger. One actually ended up making it to the park in a form, which was a Simpsons based attraction that kind of would parody existing theme parks. That probably sounds familiar to those who have unfortunately been on that ride. And then the other one, which look, I know we're talking about Men in Black, but I would like to see this ride. If I had to choose, I'm just saying I probably would take this one, but that's just because I'm a weirdo.
I'm scared about what you're going to say.
This was an attraction based on Stephen King's books, including It and The Shining, and was even headed up by the current creative director of Halloween Horror Nights Hollywood, John Murdy. This attraction sounded crazy. There was actually to be a trick ending where Pennywise would emerge from a fake control booth, a gag that was later repurposed for Revenge of the Mummy. A horror-based thrill attraction that's not a walkthrough. That does have my attention.
Yeah, that sounds dope.
That does sound crazy.
Yeah.
At least we do have a horror-dedicated land coming to the resorts.
Yeah, and I mean, they've said that the new ride, Monsters Unleashed, is supposed to be the scariest theme park ride that there is. So maybe they're coming around to it.
And funny enough, before Islands of Adventure really figured out what it was doing, Jurassic Park was a potential attraction to take.
But then they moved to Islands eventually. So actually, I guess in that case, 4 attractions almost, took the lane of Men in Black. But luckily, that didn't happen. The facade is modeled after the 1964 World's Fair Pavilion, with the story being that the attraction was relocated from New York to the theme park and has been secretly operating as the headquarters for Men in Black. This would also explain why this is not in the New York section of the park, which, it kind of covers that plot hole a little bit, because it is a little odd that it takes place in New York and is not in the New York section of the park. Such is the life of theme park real estate. The Universe and You presentation featured in the ride has a parody tune of the Carousel of Progress theme song, There's a Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow.
Welcome to The Universe and You. We hope you enjoy this classic adventure into the unknown, relocated from the 1964 New York World Expo.
Very fun. I like when these guys go back and forth at each other.
Me too.
It's very petty and I enjoy it. Neville Page designed the gun's ride vehicle and half of the animatronics, including the big bug at the end. And this guy later went on to work on Avatar, Cloverfield, Tron Legacy, and was also a judge on the sci-fi special effects competition show Face Off, for those of you who enjoyed that. That big bug, by the way, is 30 feet tall, or a little over 4 Shaquille O'Neals.
Larger than a house, the giant bug has teeth 8 feet wide, claws 20 feet long, and an attitude that won't win him many friends. The only way to destroy him is to literally enter the belly of the beast and zap him from inside.
I love him. Edgar.
He's huge. He's like sugar water. Sugar water.
Your skin's falling off your bones.
More. The ride was said to have featured the most ambitious animatronics of Universal at that time. Heavy emphasis on at that time. And also featured the biggest show building in Universal history at that time. Frank the Pug was an Easter egg personally added by one Steven Spielberg when he gave feedback on the attraction before opening. The queue features plenty from the film, including the main headquarters floor, the worms in the break room, the 2 twin aliens at reception, and a weapons room, even including everyone's favorite portable bazooka, the Noisy Cricket. Apparently, a tour on the downstairs level of the main headquarters room is available upon request if there's openings. Have you ever done that?
I've never done it, but I see it happening often.
How to do that?
It's hard to catch because it can't be too slow of a day because they have to have the staff, but it can't be too busy of a day because they have to have the staff. So it's kind of like
Pretty narrow window.
Yeah, but you can sit in the chairs, bebop around down there.
Can you go like dap up the 2 twin aliens?
I don't know. Like, would they stop you from dapping up the twin aliens?
Probably. That's where Tommy Lee Jones comes out. Watching that sign of buffoonery. 999,999 is the highest score possible, and it's achievable if you're a sicko. The red button on the ride vehicles was originally meant to trigger a speed effect, much like the one seen in the tunnel in the film. But when that proved too difficult for the very slow-moving vehicles, it was changed to a detonation button to destroy the bug. Funny enough, I do believe this effect was somewhat accomplished in Mario Kart when you get the star.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's not confirmed that was kind of based off iterating from this, but they somewhat figured that out, I would say.
Yeah, the vibe is right for it to be it.
Other tips on this ride to rack up them points include aiming at the monsters between the eyes and the chest, keeping your finger on the trigger as it will fire repeatedly. You don't have to just keep, spamming the trigger. Also, apparently every 10 shots, you'll get 1,000 points, just wholesale.
That's true.
Hitting the same target repeatedly, as you're given points every time regardless. Aiming for aliens in the second story windows or hidden aliens. Some are like behind posters, things like that. And finally, when you come face to face with the other ride vehicle, I know it tells you to hit the little red circle on the ride vehicle, which will make the other one spin out so you could keep racking up points. But where the points really lie in that is by aiming for the blue tracer lights on the other vehicle, as those will give you points every time you hit it.
Yeah, that's true. I like to spin them once so that they can't spin me.
Gotcha.
You got a defensive spin first.
Yeah.
And then you go for the higher points, which are on the little blue lights. And then there's posters in the wall right behind the ride vehicles at that time that have little aliens hidden in the posters. It's their eyes looking through. Yeah, I'm one of those sick. I've never gotten 999.
I was going to say, what's your high score?
My high score is about like 595.
That's pretty good.
It's really hard. And they actually made it more difficult, I've read today. 999. It used to be more doable and they ramped up the difficulty. And now it's like, not only do you have to know all the tricks, have good aim, and like have ridden probably a bunch of times, you also have to have a perfect run. Everything has to go right.
I see.
And it's easier to do if you're boarding the left track than it is to do on the right track, because you can hit more high value targets on the left track.
If you ever get that 999, it's going to be the greatest.
It's going to be big for me.
You're going to be like Maximus putting your hand through the wheat.
Yeah.
Just reaching Valhalla.
Yeah.
I do like when there's fun little kind of like hidden gags like this. By the way, how litigious are they when it comes to like, you have to be the first person to press the red button to get
Extremely.
Okay. So that's true.
Yes. And I regularly, this is not a joke, break my fingernails getting it, because I wear long nails and I'll slam the button so hard at the time because I want it so bad. It's a very slow button that my fingernails will break.
Well,
That's happened
Do
to
they
me.
penalize you if you hit it too early, or
No, so you can start hitting it early.
reveal? It's not always there, right? Or is it always?
They say the button's there all the for the whole ride, but then you don't really notice it. There's not a lot of like pomp around the button. And then when you hear push the red button,
that says push the red
yeah,
button.
you slam it. And there's no penalty for too early, but you can, if everyone in your vehicle pushes and holds together, everyone gets the bonus.
Oh!
I've never had that happen because I don't have 5 friends.
I don't believe that's true.
I do, but I can't get them all in Men in Black at the same time.
Well, so you have 2 new friends now.
This reminds me of trying to get Wookiee mode on.
Yeah, it's very similar. Yeah.
I can never get it to happen.
Yeah.
All you had to happen was because a cast member.
A cast member was like, "Hey, love the pod. Watch this." And he came out and he like did like this crazy like Game Shark code in front of me, and he was like, "Enjoy." And I saw it, and I was like, "This is awesome." Anyways, last fun fact here: the ride has 2 different endings. If you're ranked as bug bait or cosmically average, you get a pep talk from a coach alien who's like, "You should have zigged when you should have zagged," kind of the whole thing. And if you score as a galactic defender, you get an alien that's tailoring your new fancy Men in Black suit. And then Will Smith will also tell your car different things based on your ranking as well.
I would describe y'all as woo. And I would describe y'all as woo. Woo. Woo.
This results in a combo of 35 different unique endings, technically, given all the permutations of what could happen. I've only had Will Smith and the coach alien tell me bad things.
It's really hard to get the tailor because it's your car's average. So
Yeah.
I score very high every time. Usually the strangers that are next to me, because I'm often alone, are like, "How did you do that?" And I'm like, "Don't ask." It's embarrassing. But
You should just not even look at them when they say that. Just look forward with the gun still in your hand, like
shaking, turn the gun towards them. But I did get the tailor the other day. I was in one of the accessible ride vehicles. There are only 4 seats.
I see.
So it was a lot easier for you to pull the average up.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
I mean, but you're basically putting the team on your back then.
Oh, yeah, carrying them. Yeah.
You're like the LeBron James of the Men in
Truly, of the Men in Black. If you see me coming in the single rider line when you're going on Men in Black Alien Attack, you're in luck.
You got a ringer.
Yeah.
It's coming in right there.
Yeah.
Oh, I have one more.
Oh, you had a fun fact?
This also came from the creative director that there was a brief time that they considered like the exit of the ride. It's like it's the universe in the again.
Yes.
Kind of theme. Like you went back to the pavilion or the World's Fair. They considered briefly having it just be something completely random. So like after you're neuralized, you just like ended up in like a different city or place completely. But they were like, a part of it was because they were afraid that not enough people might be familiar with the neuralizer.
Yeah.
That it does, that they'd be like, why am I in this random place, like an airport or something like that?
That's super cool. Oh, by the way, do you have any fun facts?
Yeah. Funny that you say airport. I don't know the source for this, but I do know that originally when they were discussing what they were going to do with the rides, with the World's Fair theme, they did consider doing the Orlando airport.
Yeah, they did it.
And when you entered, you would enter into MCO, and then it would be that there's secretly Men in Black under MCO, and that is crazy to me.
Yeah, there was also almost, I think it was either the Sunkissed or Tropicana Orange Factory, because there was a deal with Universal and that would be a cover for the Men in Black as well.
I'd be happy with any of these.
Especially if I got orange juice.
Oh my gosh, can you imagine?
Freshly squeezed.
I would have hit the high score if I could have a little OJ before the ride.
Mild pulp. I don't realize what's too pulpy.
But you don't want no pulp. Because
no pulp is like weird because it's just like, I feel.
Do you really trust it?
Yeah, but I like a little pulp just to give me a semblance of like, this came from an orange. Let's move on to armchair engineering. What's one thing you would do to possibly make this attraction even better? We're going to start with some of our folks over at fyapod.com. Thank you for joining over there. We have this coming from Dueling Dragons Forever. I guess you're not a fan of Hagrid's, huh? They say it cannot change, for it is without flaw. But a little Doug the Pug peeking out of the front of the vehicle like E.T. in his basket. Maybe some extra effects on the seats depending on what you hit. Little air blast hitting each individual, things like that. It's a good one. Lily Gray said, I would try to update the lighting, as I think what contributes to the animatronics and sets feeling kind of dated is that. Like if they just made the show scenes a little darker, perhaps added some projection mapping onto the sets, it could help add some dimension and hide the visible ceiling. That actually is one of my pet peeves in most indoor for outdoor rides is the visibility of the ceiling. Oh, I'll get that. Who is it? Hello? I wasn't even aware that we have a landline. Folks, you're hearing the rare FYA landline come in. This is only when the FYA signal is up in the clouds. There's a ride somewhere to be ridden.
I love how we have just opted to leave this in the edit.
Oh, it'll stay in because this is rare, but there is an emergency in the theme park world somewhere. And it's gone. Okay. But yes, that is one of my pet peeves that the ceiling is visible. You see this a lot in the even small worlds.
When there's a vent, when you're looking
at the guy, the worst.
There's a vent. Oh.
But I do agree. And granted, I'm watching a lot of this through POV as of lately. I haven't been on this since the last time I was at Universal Orlando, so a year or two. But I do recall it being a little bright in there. If they made it a little bit darker, it could kind of help these animatronics that are maybe in some need of some TLC.
Yeah, I could see that.
And then the last suggestion we have here before we get into our own suggestions is, this is a really good one. This comes from Taylor P. Expand on the different endings. Normally you get scolded by a football alien or your MIB suit is getting tailored. We mentioned that. But this person actually mentions going even further beyond when you get neuralized. So if your score is horrible, you get MIB flashed and you go down the losing path, which would be the ending of the Universe and You ride. Add small world like dolls, themed to the 60s World Fair aesthetic, saying things like, "We are alone, don't be afraid, we hope you enjoyed the Universe and You." Basically like, oh, you walked into this exhibit, you ended this exhibit. However, if you score well enough and you go down the winning path of the exit hall, and it's a giant room of MIB employees and aliens applauding a job well done, probably done with screens because it's Universe. You still get MIB flashed, but it ends on the Universe and You exit like the losing side, but the dolls are more skeptical. Like maybe there are aliens, and we can't be the only ones here. I really like the idea of 2 different exit halls.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
That's really cool. Kind of similar to Byron's fun fact, except like, yeah, ending further even, like not only you see your suit get tailored, but now you are Men in Black, you're exiting through the headquarters. I think that's really fun. Probably
not realistic.
A logistical nightmare.
Yeah.
Imagine if like everyone's either crushing it or just like suck. Like they're all just going to.
Oh, it's just like slammed in the loser hall.
Yeah, and I guess you would have to have like 2 different gift shops at that point
to stick with the theme.
Or you just have to like have it like complete projection so they could change. And I know it's your favorite thing in the world. So
yeah, screens probably would be how they would do it. Do you guys have any ideas of how you would improve this? I know you think it's a perfect attraction already, Quincy.
Yeah, but I mean, where are we if we're not looking to grow?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that one thing I think would be cool is I always think it's weird that you get your suit tailored and you get neuralized anyway. Like, I'm a Man in Black now. Why are you neuralizing me? But if it would be really cool if instead they could do some kind of effect like they have on Haunted Mansion with the hitchhiking ghost.
Yes.
Or Secret Life of Pets, like where you see your little dog self.
Yeah.
If it was you in your suit with your sunglasses, in your little new Men in Black uniform, even just briefly past the little window, that's what your picture was at the end of the ride.
And then Will Smith says, "You make this look good."
Yeah. Can you imagine?
Oh my God. And then he says, "Keep my wife's name out of your goddamn mouth."
Then he slaps you.
Then he slaps the shit out of you.
That's for the loser.
Yeah, you get your suit on the winner's side. You get slapped by Will Smith on the loser's side.
I wouldn't mind getting slapped by Will Smith.
No, I'd be
nothing
cool.
sexual to that. It's just I think it'd be kind of cool. Be like, I got slapped by Will Smith.
Yeah,
that's what he's famous for. But yeah, no, it's I could see that. It is a little odd because especially if you're neuralized, you're like, why am I in a black suit?
Why am I in a suit? Why am
I so fancy?
Where did this suit come from?
Also, I've never heard someone refer to Men in Black in the singular. You're like, I'm a Man in Black now.
Well, that's what it would be.
Yes, that's true. You're kind of like running into like a moose situation.
Yeah, well, that's true.
There's no meese.
No, there's no meese, but there is Man in Black.
There is. Byron, do you have any improvements on this?
I don't know. For what it's trying to do, I think it's done a really good job. Like, I think this criticism has been brought up before, and I'm sure they tried to do this back when they were making the ride and had probably budgetary limitations where the immigration like office or like the that main room in the queue, that imitation area where you got the two animatronics, but you have like a lot of kind of dead space and just empty desks. Any way to make that a little more vibrant?
I kind of wish there was more indication that you are hitting the correct target, because I do recall when I was on this, I love that there's a lack of targets, but also being a lack of targets, I didn't feel like there was enough tactile feedback from when I was hitting the correct thing, which maybe was a little confusing. Like I know the gun goes a little green, but I don't recall, does it vibrate when you hit there?
It doesn't. There's the eyes change color on the aliens, some of them, which is not all. And I do think that when you're fresh to the ride, it doesn't tell you it's hard to know it all.
Yeah.
There's a different sound effect your gun makes when you've hit it, but it's very light, like it's a light difference. And then there's a very different sound effect it makes if you hit a high value target, which is how you rack up the good points, as you wait for that sound and then you keep going on that. But
I guess it would be kind of logistically tough to make the aliens always interact when you hit them the right way, because there's multiple people aiming at this alien. But I thought like maybe like a glowing effect where or just even like more like visual feedback of where my laser is going.
Yeah.
Suppose that would be something I would improve. But I do like the lack of targets, so it's kind of like a give and take there.
And that did remind me of the infrared technology that they have that goes with this guns. I didn't realize until reading about this ride that I guess the further the target is away that you're shooting at, the infrared like beam it expands the further it travels. So people think, oh, it's like a much harder target to hit when it's far away. And that's not necessarily the case.
Your guns are actually a little more accurate from farther away because the infrared is a cone that comes out of the gun. So don't shoot stuff that's close to the vehicle. Aim for stuff that's farther away.
However, I've also heard that, this is also from the creative director, but the beam will be less powerful. As well. So I think he brought something up like a car's length or two away is like the perfect amount.
this would make sense because that's where I aim and I have very bad aim.
Well, apparently not. You're in the 500,000.
But that's the thing is, why can't I score high on any other shooter ride? It's because I'm not using the infrared to my advantage.
Maybe you have that shotgun blast on you.
Yeah.
It's also weird that it's not power. What does that mean? The beam is not as...
I guess
you either hit it or you don't. There's no HP on these aliens.
I guess it's just weaker the farther it travels, but it also gets wider. I'm not like
it might be harder for it to read.
All I know is when I ride Buzz Lightyear now, it just doesn't seem to work at all.
That's because you have bad aim.
No, because I used to be good.
This is like that guy
fading with age.
This is like that guy who plays basketball at the park. I would have made league if I didn't hurt my knee. And I'm like, dude, you're like 5'5". There's no way that's happening. Now let's go to 5 goods and however many bands. What are 5 good things about this ride? And what are any bad things about this ride? I'm going to name 5 goods so that I leave some stuff for you guys to list here, because otherwise it's just me monologuing. First good I wrote, though, creature design. Awesome. All of these feel pretty unique. They could have just been like, here's your uniform alien.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't. I feel like all 127, for the most part, are unique. And I think credit's deserved for that, because that's not lazy and they're practical too. So like, I mean, I always applaud that kind of effort. What do you think about the creature design on this ride?
I mean, I think they're sick. And I feel like every time I ride, which is often, I see new critters.
Exactly. Yeah, you see new guys.
Yeah. Like, I don't know that guy.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Cool and new.
My next good I wrote, I love interaction with the other car. I mean, and you see this in all shooters. You are constantly within view of other ride vehicles, and yet you don't interact with them. And it's fun to kind of wave at another car. This is the same effect you get mentally when you're on like a racing coaster.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that you get to like literally have a shootout with another car is super fun. And also one of my favorite things in theme parks is when there's like a logistical problem with a creative solve. Apparently, the only reason why they have that sequence where you face the other ride vehicle and scan to see if there's alien life forms is because they were having a hard time hiding the aliens. And so, because they're having a hard time by placing them in places that were hidden, I suppose. So they created that section to just basically create, I suppose, more corners. That's how it was described. It's hard to explain, but that was mainly there to make the alien, to give like a section so that they could kind of like hide better. I don't know. That's what I read. Now as I'm saying it, that makes no fucking sense. But that's what I read. But I do like the interaction with the other car, and I am going to look to make them spin first so that I could keep blasting their tracer light.
I also heard that it was like a real pain in the butt to get those to actually stay in sync. Because think about it this way, is like when you make turns, one of the tracks is going to have a shorter track length while the other one takes a wider turn. So they had to trial and error the code to have one speed up at certain times to match the other one. And then like vice versa, just depending on where they were in the layout.
Huh. Next thing I wrote was great set design. I love, anyone who knows this pod knows I'm a sucker for indoor for outdoor. And I really love it in this ride. Like, cool seeing New York. I love seeing the practical spaceship ship that has crashed in New York. And yeah, it's fun seeing all the shop windows and various kind of like puns hidden and stuff like that. So very good. And I also really enjoyed the 6 against 1 don't shoot scene.
Don't shoot! Don't shoot! 6 against 1.
When it's like, I think that person's like pretending to be like an old lady.
Yeah.
And like, no, don't shoot! And then like switches over to like, now it's 6 against 1. I love that. Yeah. So fun. They do a similar gag actually in Spirit, I would say, in Secret Life of Pets, when you see the cat in the alleyway that looks really cute and then it turns into a menace.
You're just like cat assaulted.
Yeah.
Cats.
The very scary cat.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I wrote was, I really enjoyed the story of this. I liked that they incorporated the movie shooting range scene that was famous from the first Men in Black when Will Smith accidentally shoots little Tiffany. Which, by the way, there was a scene in this ride. I didn't put this in the fun facts because this is not a fun fact. This is a sad fact. They did have a scene where Will Smith does shoot Tiffany in this ride. They took it out because this ride took place shortly after the Columbine shootings.
Well,
so they took that out.
Probably a good decision. Yeah, I'll back that one.
But I do like that they featured the movie shooting range that then goes from a training exercise to, oh shit, aliens did just land, might as well turn their phasers up to 100.
Emergency. Training sequence aborted.
Hold your fire. Our shipment of alien bad guys has crash landed smack dab in the middle of Manhattan.
Weapons energized to full power.
Everybody hit the streets. This is not a drill.
Really fun. It's also why they called them zappers in this ride. Originally, they were going to be guns, and they called them zappers because it's, sensitivity.
Yeah.
I love that transition from the movie shooting range to the real alien attack. And then, it's great. I actually did write a bonus one here just because I couldn't help myself. But I love the ending Neuralyzers theme and then exiting through the theming. I think that's really fun that they committed to the theme all the way to the ending. Do you guys have anything else that you love about this ride?
I love the queue in the pre-show.
Oh boy.
I don't see it a ton because the single rider line bypasses it. But the queue in general with all those immersive scenes that we talked about where you're in scenes from the movie is very cool. But the plot of the ride that you're visiting this exhibit and then you go down in the elevator, you go actually in like to a room with the pre-show and it's like, welcome to the universe and you.
It's so good.
Are we alone? And there's like a little presentation that then gets shut down. You get elevator down to Men in Black. I wrote it recently and the elevator went down and then the door that I came through opened up and revealed the theme park where I just was. And one of the team members ran over and went, flash of light. The door's closed.
Did you shout a Neuralyzer?
Yeah. So I was like, guess I don't remember. But yeah, and then you see the, the prawn guys, the open prawns.
Oh yeah, the worms.
The worms. They're all in the queue. They're taking a break. Yeah. They're shouting at you like
coffee room.
Yeah. Yeah.
PK.
That's good stuff.
I love those guys. They crack me up.
Yeah.
I just watched the first one again, and that scene when they're heading out of town because they think Earth is going to explode and they've taken all of their precious belongings. It's just giant boxes of cigarettes and beer. I was laughing so hard at that.
The good stuff.
And Zed is like, you little fuckers. He doesn't say you little fuckers, but like spiritually he says that. I was laughing so hard at that scene. So seeing these guys, that was also another thing that I didn't mention in first impressions is I did not expect the queue to be this crazy.
It's one of, you don't think about it. It's one of the crazier queues.
It's insane. I love seeing that showroom floor. Jesus, this looks exactly like it does in the movies. You even see the twins down there.
And that's after walking through the weapons department. Like, it's just,
I know.
it's cool.
Or the Zapper display.
The Zapper display.
I mean, every kid, or at least me and my cousins, we used to love the Noisy Cricket. So seeing the Noisy Cricket in person, I was genuinely thrilled when I see it.
I wait in line to do that.
It was so cool. And I just didn't expect it to, and also all the rooms in the queue that have like the names on them, they're all super like clever too. So I invite you guys to look at those as well. Yeah. Also, there's hidden movie posters in this ride too. Like, oh, they're not very hidden. There's a movie theater section in the New York thing where you see famous movie posters without the titles. Like, I'm guessing that's because of like, you know.
Yeah.
But you see the thing, which is really cool. Anything else you guys love about this ride?
I mean, we already kind of touched up on it, but I think just the payoff of facing the other vehicle and then seeing that they're aliens in disguise
is so good.
Such a big part of the film, and that's just such a good payoff to have there.
Alien life forms detected.
Look out! The other car is full of fun. Aim for the fusion exhaust port. What are you waiting for? The train's invitation?
Makes it seem like, okay, it's not just for capacity. Like when I got it, I'm like, okay, they're doing 2 tracks. It's good for capacity, stuff like that. When that moment happens, I'm like, that's good.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah.
It's also fun because the implication is that you're an alien as well.
That's right.
If you think about it.
Man, it also plays into the story in that it doesn't break the immersion because like I said, any shooter ride you're on or any kind of dark ride, honestly, you see the other ride, even like the best dark rides of all time, Haunted Mansion, you see the other Doom buggies. But this is like one of the first rides that acknowledges the existence of other riders and says, oh, they're going to you go this way, I'll go that way. They'll take care of the aliens over here. We'll take care of the aliens over here. And then furthermore, brings that moment back to be like, wait a second, they were aliens the whole time. Super cool that they took the time to do that because they didn't have to. And that all, like I said, came because there was a logistical problem and then they just played it all together. It's really awesome.
And I'll also add, because Quincy, you brought up single rider line. This seems perfect for single rider lines because it's 2 rows of 3 at each ride vehicle. You kind of notice this with the slot car rides that Disney does with like Radiator Springs or Test Track, where when you got the rows of 3, like if you're a single rider, you'll go through much quicker.
Yeah, you can blaze right onto this line even on the busiest days.
I do have to ask you, Quincy, single rider. How much talking you doing when you get on that ride vehicle? Because like I'm imagining it's like we're looking at a couple or like a family probably that's come to Orlando. This is like their big vacation. They get in the car with this other person and it's like probably like, hey, how's it going? And you're just like zoned in.
I do not speak.
A silent assassin.
If they were to say hi, like I might be like, but like
I'm here to do a job.
I thought, listen, I'm chasing the 999,999, and I'm never gonna get it unless I have a perfect run and I'm locked in, and I cannot let a family of 5 from Minnesota get in the way of that.
It's like I don't know if you heard, but they need my help right now.
Yeah.
I'm trying to defend the galaxy from alien scum.
I challenge you to go one step further. You know what it's gonna be, right? You gotta go in the suit.
I knew you were going to say I gotta go in the suit. That's probably what it is.
Stone face.
That's probably the day I get it.
It's the last shit you ever wear.
Yeah. Because I'll perish after riding that ride 70 times.
I'm curious what the team members would do if they saw you come in the suit. I feel like you would get some sort of special treatment.
It would not surprise me at all if first of all, they would love that. They would be like, love it deeply.
Yeah.
I went to the Jurassic area one time dressed as Bryce Dallas Howard from Jurassic World with my friend dressed as Owen.
Yeah.
And they were like, you guys are meeting the Raptor right now. They were like, come with us.
You met Blue?
Oh yeah, we met Blue and they gave us,
it's hard to book.
They kept being like, hey, listen, Claire's here to check on the park. Like they really.
Did your Owen just constantly have his head out like this?
Of course. Of course. Yeah.
It's so good.
And I was like, everything seems up to standard. They really loved it. We were planning on like playing it that hard, but they did. So it's fine.
You got to go in MIB suits then. Yeah, no, if Byron and I are ever down in Orlando, we're in a suit.
Yeah. Pack a suit.
Byron will complete his outfit more.
Yeah.
He'll go beyond
I'll plan a little better.
We can rent.
I don't have an all black suit.
We can rent.
This the most ridiculous.
You know what? Orlando's got a bunch of really cheap little costume shops.
Yeah.
And you go to Party City
Once you walk out of the magic bubbles, I feel like.
Party City, did you guys see it's closing? Now's our time.
Wait, really?
I think so.
Oh, wow.
So now's our time to go get our Party City suits, and then we'll ride Men in Black in suits, and we'll all get 999,999.
We could take over an entire row.
That's true.
That's we're gonna freak everyone out who's in there.
Cool with that.
They won't be able to see our eyes.
We should bring toy Neuralyzers with us too, and just kind of like put them over our shoulder.
They sell those in the gift shop.
They do?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I gotta pick one of those up.
Yeah.
I was really big into Men in Black when I was a kid. There's videos of me dancing to the music in a black little suit. We don't have to do that. Any more goods here before we move to some bads?
The rest of everything is all good.
I think they play some of the music out front.
The MIB song?
Yeah, that's fun. Always.
From the first film, there's a second one. The black suits come in from MIB 2, if you remember that one.
No, I don't.
You don't remember that? Nod your head. The black suits come in. Nod your head. No.
I've heard that on the ride.
That was such a fun era when Will Smith was like leading films and then doing banger songs like Wild Wild West.
That's the best part of the song.
Wow.
Is it Kenneth Branagh that's Loveless?
Yes.
That's hilarious.
Wow.
Byron and I are rewatching Oppenheimer after this, so I'm going to be thinking about that when I see him. I was like, you had a mustache.
We're watching Oppenheimer?
Yeah.
Is that tonight?
Dude, yeah.
Do I have a ticket?
You said you did.
No, there's no way. I never got a ticket.
Yes, you did.
Is that a city walk?
Yes.
I think that was someone else.
What?
I'm gonna be there so I could see. Like, I don't know.
Oh my God. Okay, we're gonna have to outline about that. All right, let's talk about some more bands here. Then that sucks. You're going on a flight. We could go to Universal right now.
Yeah.
You still could.
I'll move it.
More bands here. Not more. This is the start of the bads. I got distracted by the prospect of going Universal, and then my brain just kind of blue screened. First bad. I have to say it. The animatronics are pretty dated. Everything in this ride pretty dated.
Yeah.
Look, what are you going to do? They're not going to give this ride any TLC, though they did just refurbish E.T., which it did need a refurbishment because, as we have said many times in this pod, the last time we were on it, his neck was broken. And that's one of his key features. It, in fact, expands and contracts. So,
Ouch.
Ouch indeed. A little confusing where to aim. I already mentioned that. I want some better feedback on the hits. I already mentioned that. My main thing is everything's a bit dated. The pre-show screen, pretty rough looking.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of looks like it's shot with a dad handy cam.
Probably was.
Probably was.
Yeah.
They might as well just embrace it. Like, if they can't reshoot the footage, which they obviously can't, just put like a little rec kind of overlay. Because then it looks like, okay, clearly this was shot, in the 90s. The Gen Z will love that.
Yeah. Gen Z loves stuff that looks like it's from the 90s.
I know. We're like, oh, it makes me feel old.
Yeah. Don't wear that.
No,
Don't wear that.
I don't tell me all the stuff that I, donated to Goodwill. I could probably still wear now and be cool. That's all I have for bads, though. I really enjoy this ride, honestly.
It's hard to find bads for this ride.
Mm-hmm.
They really went for it in a good way. I know people usually say that, like, with thumbing their nose, but I do feel like they did a good job on this one.
Yeah.
I think it's a far cry from the e-ticket caliber that it was when it originally opened.
But for the time, yeah.
But I think it serves as a terrific supplementary attraction. Now it does, and I do agree. I think it is one of, if not the best, shooter dark ride out there.
I was going to say something that sounds crazy, but I will say it anyway, and I'll leave it there. This started as an e-ticket, obviously, 99, where the park was. It was an e-ticket.
Big ass show building.
But now is, given, the modern era, it's more like a D ticket. I would say maybe even a C, and it becomes one of those supplementary attractions, not unlike, once again, I'm saying something crazy, like a Pirates or a Haunted Mansion.
Yeah.
These things started as e-tickets, and now with modern stuff, nostalgia aside, they're probably seen by the general public, not us, more as like a supplementary attraction. For me, they're the main attraction.
Yeah.
I don't want to get that mixed up, but I'm just saying that, like, as a theme park, you need rides that are like this, that were like, big at the time, but still could, pull their weight and pull in capacity. Every park needs this kind of stuff. I was about to say filler attractions. I didn't though.
A little filler magic.
No, nothing's Filler Magic. I fucking hate that show. But then now I feel like that I've made it known I don't like that show. It just gets brought up all the time, so I have to double down and it'd be like, I think people are waiting for me to be like, I'm wrong, but I'm not. I feel like, so I'm just going to keep doubling down. Anyways, let's move on to the world-class tests. This is a rubric of 10 tests painstakingly devised by Byron and myself to determine if an attraction is world-class. To receive the highly coveted world-class pass, the attraction must pass 7 out of 10 tests. A score of 6 out of 10 leaves the attraction up for debate for world-class pass standing, and anything lower than 6 out of 10 is an automatic fail. Now, before we get into this, we have modified the rubric a bit to update some of the tests. And even from the last couple episodes where we've modified, we've taken in feedback to modify even further to hone in on some of the language. So, look, like Walt Disney said, and he was referring to this podcast when he said this, for your amusement will never be finished.
Yeah, that's actually true.
That said that. And we went down to the antifreeze chamber, talked to his floating head.
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah.
To all come to this silly place. I'm sorry.
Let's start with the first test.
The average tourist test. Does the experience of this ride justify the average wait time?
I think, yeah.
I think so.
And this is an excellent time to come in with what is the average wait time? What is I want to take a couple guesses.
I'm going to go 10 minutes, accounting for back to 99 data.
I'm gonna go 25.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Quincy, I know you got another dub here.
No way.
That's very close. Let me just confirm.
I've never seen this above 5 minutes. That's crazy.
You gotta get to Universal more.
Wait, okay, let's look.
22 minutes.
Do you have the app?
I do.
Can you pull up the app?
Yep.
Let's fact check here.
What time is it there?
Oh, it's going to be like prime time right now.
How very 2:30. It's 2:30.
I bet you it's 20 right now.
That would be incredibly impressive. How embarrassed are you going to be right now if it's 5?
Moderately. Oh my gosh, they've populated all the epic stuff in here.
I saw that, yes. I saw that.
Isn't that crazy?
That's so crazy. Wow.
Just to tease you.
I know. Tell me
Getting real, everybody.
I'm just checking Universal Studios. I'm not scrolling through all of the epic stuff.
Yeah, you gotta filter that.
Let's see.
You gotta filter that.
Son of a bitch.
It's 20.
It's 20. I have 2 people pushing their phones into my face right now that very clearly says 20 minutes. Look, I'm wrong.
I was pretty confident that the leads are going to be wrong.
No, I respect that.
You got it for most rides.
We can hit you with the Neuralyzer next so you can forget that happened.
Yeah.
I know. I'll live with the shame. I think it's important to take your warts. That being said, Filler Magic blows. Anyways, average tourist test. Yeah, look, we adjusted the language to make it fair for let's say a ride is 5 minutes, but it's still a shitty ride. You could still fail this, but a 20-minute wait, I think it's worth 20. I think it's worth 20.
There are a lot of rides that I get off regularly and I hear people going, because they waited too long for it. I don't know that I've ever heard that on this ride.
Well, because I think folks like when there's an interactive element, especially the average tourist, I feel like would be tickled by this. And everybody, whether they know it or not, is familiar with the Men in Black franchise. And I feel like at the very least, they've done justice to that franchise with this ride.
Yeah. I think it's fun to compete with the people you're with. You can't be suck it, mom, Yeah. So it's like,
I always say that. I have it tattooed on me.
Right next to the ride.
It's problematic. I have to explain what that means.
Yeah.
No, I think this is a pass. I feel good about that.
Yeah, it's a pass. I think if this was more in 45-minute territory or more, then I'm thinking, okay, don't know if it justifies that. But
let's put it to the test. Quincy, I'm going to list some wait times.
Okay.
And you tell me whether or not you think you, honestly, in your heart of hearts,
okay,
would wait it.
Okay.
And, but you know what? Actually, no, let's not do that. I want to make it even more objective. I'm going to list some wait times, and you tell me whether or not your friend calls you on the phone and says, Quincy, MIB at this wait time. Is it worth it?
Okay.
30.
Yes.
35.
Yes.
45.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
An hour?
No.
Okay.
An hour's my cutoff. What I would really tell you is just give it a couple hours. If it was locked at that for the day.
The park is loaded. Epic Universe has just opened. People can only go there one day out of their 3-day pass.
Yeah. I also have found that I think the reason the wait time on this ride gets that length sometimes or longer than 20 is because of the pre-show.
Yeah.
Because they can't batch a ton of people through at the time.
That makes sense.
So you'll see a long queue outside, but that's actually not reflective of the queue.
A cheating room scenario.
It is.
Okay, well, that's a pass. 1 for 1. Moving to the smartphone test. Does the queue of this ride have enough to keep you off of your phone? Not literally, but does the queue offer enough immersion to keep you entertained?
I think this is an easy yes.
I think this is an easy yes as well, which is impressive because it's a 99 attraction, and I feel like most of those queues are switchback tone, except for E.T.
Yeah, not a lot of switchbacks here.
No.
You're never going to be in that overflow space.
There's only the switchbacks in the weapon room, and you need the time to look at those weapons.
Yeah.
Because it's cool. They're from the film.
Yeah, there's not even that many switchbacks there.
So, yeah, I think this is an easy pass. I don't even know if we need to really discuss this. I feel like, that's a no-brainer.
Plenty to see. You're moving pretty consistently.
Yeah.
Always a flow. Yeah. Terrific.
Always flow.
Pass.
2 for 2. By the way, just out of curiosity, what did you predict this was going to score?
I mean, I'm pretty sure it's world class. So.
Okay.
So at least a 7. All right, test number 3, the Tony Stark test. How innovative is this attraction? Does it push theme park tech forward? Now, this is a curious one because it is a shooter, and it's not the first shooter, if I am not mistaken, Byron.
Buzz Lightyear did predate this by about a year or two. I think it was 98 year Buzz Lightyear. The Space Ranger spin in Magic Kingdom opened.
Oh, man, this is tough.
It's also an existing ride system because it's Cat in the Hat.
Yes.
So it's from a tech perspective.
I don't think so.
You can go either way because they did. It just, do you determine if it's substantial enough that they did have to program it differently to adhere to the dueling for them running in tandem.
Yeah. And this is the most animatronics in a ride that Universal had ever done at the time, if I remember right. So,
well, they didn't invent animatronics.
And they're also not the most involved animatronics.
In your heart of hearts, if you're looking at these animatronics and being like, that's pushing theme park tech forward, when the animatronics are like pop locking, it's like kind of crazy to be like.
It's just a lot of them.
There's a lot.
Look at a lot of these pop locking aliens.
Yeah, exactly. Like the zombies in Walking Dead. It's not that they're fast, but there's just so many of them.
Yeah, there's just so many of them. I think this one. I'd be okay if it didn't pass.
Over 30 some odd different outcomes, you said?
Oh boy, Byron's trying to push it over.
I just want to I'm just gotta you check off all the boxes. I'm just saying, these are arguments that people could make for it.
How many rides at that time had variation in the ending?
I mean, I know that Indy has like at least 8 different unique experiences from the AMVs, and that was in what, 96?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not in correlation to your performance. I don't know if a ride prior to this went as far as to change the outcome of the ride on the spot.
Outside of a scoring screen. There's different ride scenes.
I don't know. I'm still going to fail it, but look, if you two want to push it over, I'm not going to stop you.
I think because a lot of it was existing tech, it leans fail.
Well, that's 2 out of 3.
What's your vote? Don't be a coward, Byron.
I have to lean pass.
Yeah. Okay, you're right.
I mean, we've passed rides in the
minutia
where they've like combined a bunch of really innovative things. They weren't the first to do it, but to have them all work in tandem. I think the various endings, I could be wrong here. I can't think of another attraction that predated this that did this as effectively or at all to this magnitude. So for that, combined with doing the dueling with the shooting, and they had to program it in a way that they would still, stay in sync despite the track lengths changing. And That all combined with making it like a shooter experience.
Sure.
Where it's not just targets, you're shooting at animatronics.
There are 2 computers that run each vehicle, and they are smart vehicles that actually communicate with the entire building network over radio frequency modems. But this is the first time ever we've integrated a laser tag component, an interactive game component, with the ride vehicle.
No, the infrared guns was not new, but for all those other aforementioned reasons, I get it right over there.
Okay. Getting nice and limber with that stretch.
Yeah.
But it seems like it's a fail.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. That's 2 for 3. Moving forward to number 4, the Hollywood test. Could the story or world presented in the attraction be a feature-length movie? I think it could.
I think it could as well.
You have this group of trainees, and then they already have the guns, so then crash lands. I mean, this is kind of like an MIB film already.
It follows a lot of those tropes, but I don't think you have to penalize it for that.
It has a beginning, middle, and end, even starting with storytelling outside the building. You know,
Yeah.
It's an attraction at the World's Fair. JK, it's actually the MIB headquarters. You're going to be training. Aliens come.
You're not trading it.
Yeah, it's a complete arc. You feel like a character.
You even had the story end with you exiting with the Neuralyzer, and you're back. You know, it's really well done. Honestly, I think this is a pretty easy pass.
Easy pass.
Yeah.
Okay, 3 for 4. We're still there. You know, it's funny that this test would be in this ride. Test number 5, the Simpson test.
How
Likely is this to be replaced with something new?
Now, this one is tough. Very tough.
Oh boy.
It would really, really shock me. And if they were announcing this was getting replaced, and not because of what it is, because Men in Black at this point is a little, there might be some spicier, like IP they could toss in there, but this ride is so involved in being MIB, like, and the amount of money they spent, the size of the ride building, the number of animatronics, it would be shocking to me. But at the same time, they literally like have to describe it as its own land because it makes no sense in the park.
It doesn't anymore. Yeah, exactly.
Like they literally have to say like this is, and back here's the World's Fair.
Yeah, it's true.
It's like here's Simpsons, here's London, and also the Men in Black ride. Like it's so out of place in the park that I would be shocked. I'd be shocked.
Would you?
Yeah, but I could see it.
Here's my shtick. You know, actually, I'm not going to put myself in this position. Byron, you go, and then I'll go.
You know, it's tough because in that same area of the park, you got Simpsons, you got E.T., sort of.
Like,
I feel like
kind of
I
further
feel like
away.
all 3 of those like have maybe some chance, but all of them, I don't know. So it's like, which one would I think? It's a lot of prime real estate.
Yes, it is.
I don't know if the last film did that well.
No, it didn't. Critically or box office wise.
That being said, there you can make an argument that they would take out Simpsons, and this would be safe for a while. But then again, it's 25 years strong.
It's coming up with a 25.
People enjoy it, but it does have probably one of the shorter average wait times in the park.
I also imagine, though, it's sucking up a lot of people because it does have that good throughput, which is important. And then also I think of E.T., which this is obviously not as staple to what Universal Studios is as the E.T. ride, but they just gutted everything around E.T., turned it into DreamWorks Land.
They did.
And left E.T. safe as a little island, which my fear is like, what are they replacing Simpsons with? Because if they replace Simpsons with something and they want the Men in Black ride building as a new e-ticket, that would be my fear. But we did, E.T. got us, it was safe.
E.T. is much more intrinsic to the DNA of Ride the Movies, though, I think, than Men in Black. I think that's not unfair to say, I feel like. I will say, my thing is, much like what you just said, Simpsons, the license is going to expire in 2 years. They're going to replace that land. This is right in front of the Men in Black ride. The Men in Black ride takes an 80,000 square foot footprint. If they're going to turn The Simpsons into what it's being rumored to be turned into, which is Pokemon, my guess is they're going to want to snatch up as much land for that. And why not just wholesale get rid of Simpsons and this other siloed like World's Fair Island and just have a massive Pokemon land. I don't see how they wouldn't execute on that. It's the anti-Mr. Toads argument, because Mr. Toads won't go away because the space you couldn't put something there anyway.
Yeah.
Already under Alice, it's not that big of a space. This is not the case for Men in Black. That's a massive footprint that you could put something really involved. And if you add that into the Simpsons land, you got yourself a real major land. Like whether they want to make that Pokemon, which is what I hope they do, or if they want to make it more Harry Potter because it's kind of near there. Ooh, I really do think this is not long for this Earth, TBH. I could see them reviving the franchise if they made this into a TV series, perhaps. Like Men in Black would be an incredible TV series.
Yeah, that would be really good. Even if you did a kid scared one.
Yeah.
Like you could do a kids TV series.
Like every episode you're exploring a new alien in disguise. I think that's super easy to do. They haven't done it. The last movie didn't do well. So if I had to put my money on it, I really do think this is going to be gone fairly soon.
If anyone from Universal Creative is watching this, I will physically fight you in the Universal Studios parking lot.
She'll drop $999,000 on your head.
Yeah. Once I get it when we wear our seats to the ride.
Ooh.
I'm really torn on this because I do feel that, especially after Epic Universe opens, they're eventually going to go back to the studios park here, and they're going to have to do something to bolster the attendance or get more new attractions in there. They've done much worse in the past with getting rid of popular IP attractions.
That's for me what it is like I could see them replacing it.
And I also think like you got to measure it against the level of outrage. You, one of the most ardent defenders of this ride, if Universal comes to you and is like, Quincy, we want to replace this with Pokemon Land, are you going to stop them?
No, you're not.
I'd fight them in the parking lot, but they win.
Yeah.
That's the key.
I think secretly you'd be like, okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
I think like I would be gutted because this is the only shooter ride that is like it. Like everything else doesn't capture what Men in Black captures from a shooter ride perspective. But I don't think anybody but me cares about that.
To be fair, the ride that is rumored to be the e-ticket of Pokemon Land is Pokemon Snap. Which would be this ride.
And then they wouldn't even have to gut it.
They would just they would reskin it and they would make the shooter aspect be your camera.
Yeah. And here's the
thing.
thing.
That game kicks ass, by the way.
I wouldn't be that bad about it. You're right.
I loved hitting the little Pokemon in the head with apples so I could take pictures of them.
Yeah. Because like it's like Tiana's Bayou Adventure. Like Splash Mountain was one of my favorite rides, but more because of the ride itself than the overlay. And I like Tiana's Bayou Adventure, it's still the same ride that I get to ride. So it's like, how mad would I be if they were like, well, it's just not going to be Men in Black anymore, but you get to shoot apples at little Pokemon. I would be like, okay.
You get to keep all your pictures that you get. Pokemon Snap as a ride is fucking genius.
Yeah, that'll be.
You literally are in a ride vehicle in that game.
All right, fine. I still would fight someone in a parking lot.
What will save it for now, or at least the ride system, is the fact that Universal is doing a course correction with the amount of screen rides they went with.
That's true.
So this is practical, and I think it'll stay around for now. But I also agree that when they wipe out Simpsons, they might want to wipe this out right with it, or at least reskin it.
Mm-hmm.
Probably more likely to reskin it. I think something like Pokemon Snap.
Practical, fuzzy little Pokemon animatronics just made me so excited. I know that we're not talking about Pokemon Snap right now, but I just went to Tokyo Disney Sea and Tokyo Disneyland, and the animatronics in Pooh's Honey Hunt, if that's what the Pokemon look like, and I get to take pictures of them, I got legitimately so excited.
Yeah, you keep all your pictures in the app. It would be scoreable over time.
I know I'm like dancing on the grave of this in front of me right now.
Well, unfortunately, you're like, I was like, my foot's tapping. What's
I think that's really good, honestly.
That'd be cool.
A little Pikachu animatronic. I'd love to take a picture of Pikachu. You're encouraging me to do it? Oh, amazing. Oh, yeah, it is a fail.
Yeah.
It's a fail, but it could be a happy fail. We'll see.
Yeah. Moving forward, 3 for 5, moving to test number 6. And this is one of the new ones, the sleeper cell test. Is there a sound or soundtrack on this ride that if heard outside the park, would it immediately activate you like the Manchurian Candidate or the Winter Soldier and place you on the ride? This can be music, a specific audio bite, a sound effect, or maybe just the sound of the ride itself. Kind of like, the roar of like certain roller coasters.
This is hard.
I don't think so. I think this is...
For me, the answer is yes, but I am also like a weird like I go on this a lot. So if you were to play like a lot of things from this ride, I'd be like Men in Black.
Hey, like, you and your hands would immediately go into the gun position.
Out of the gun position. I'm ready. I don't know that there's anything that for your like average goer would be memorable enough.
Yeah, and the things I always cite for this test, this is a new test, but like, like the whistle that you hear in Pirates of the Caribbean when they're trying to get the key from the dog.
Mm-hmm.
Things like that. Or the coyote screeching when you're going through the tunnel in Big Thunder Mountain. Like, these are things that like, I hear those, I'm like, oh, most people will be like, yeah, or even like the sound of the train in Big Thunder.
Yeah. The thing I would make an argument for is actually the sound of your zapper. Because it's a repetitive sound you hear for the whole ride. It's very unique. You don't hear, like, no other shooter attraction has that zapper noise. It's a specific pew, 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 pew. I think, like, if you were familiar with the ride and you heard that.
Yeah.
But I don't know that it's iconic enough that if you had ridden once.
Yeah.
And were outside the park and you heard it, you'd be like, oh, it's the Men in Black zapper.
Yeah, because even off the top of your head, are you remembering the Universe in You theme?
No, because in my head, it just plays Carousel of Progress.
Yeah, exactly.
It's funny you bring up the sound of the gun because I've been on Buzz Lightyear many times.
I would remember
that sound of that gun, I'm locked in.
Yeah.
I do, like, so the Men in Black gun, is that have a sound that gives that same effect, or is it kind of bleeded with a bunch of arcade games?
For me, it's the high score noise that for me, that high score noise is not anything that you hear in any other arcade effect. Like it does. If you played it for me, I could say that's the high score noise.
Yeah.
Because I'm seeking that. And so
people who love this ride will be placed on the ride when they hear that. Because the point of this test is to reward a ride for taking the time to have a identifiable soundscape in their ride. Which is an extra bit of effort that most rides, like if you go to like a fair or to even some like just kind of regional theme parks, they're not taking the time to give specific sound effects or music to any of their rides. So I think that should be rewarded. And the fact that they do have a custom sound for a high score.
And now that I think about it, I also, if you like Zed's voice saying push the red button, that I think would place anyone on the ride, especially if your family, someone beat you to the red button.
Yeah.
Like that's a memorable moment in the ride with a memorable soundbite to go with it. And then you go right into the MIB theme when you get to the finale of the ride, you get the two different endings. Although the MIB theme I don't think qualifies here, but my two that
MIB theme, I'm thinking of the film.
Exactly. It was not floating right on the ride. The two things that I think for me could potentially qualify here is the high score noise and push the red button.
Yeah, I could see that because
I
think it does pass because like I'm gonna go with you on the gun sound because I've ridden Astro Blasters, I want to say like almost 100 times. And the noise that you get when you hit targets and that, immediately I'm there. Like, so I think this is a pass. I'm going to pass in this.
I'll take your word for it, Quincy. I haven't been on this enough to have any personal,
Okay. All right. You look like we're 4 for 6. We're 4 for 6, here. Moving on to test number 7, the premature detraculation test. Does this ride finish too soon? Or is it a good length? Some rides last too long.
This is a great length.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
It's not too much, not too little. You get a great amount of story. The queue adds to the experience. The exit even adds to the experience. I think this is a full, complete, satisfying experience.
It's over 4 minutes long.
4.5.
It surprised me when you said that because I thought it was shorter.
Yeah. Some places have this at 5.
It's a long ride, which I think helps with the payoff for the wait.
Yes.
But then at the same time, because it is a complete story and the scenes change a lot.
Yeah.
And it's not like you're just in, like each cityscape has its own gimmicks. Like you're in the firing range sequence.
Awesome.
And then you're in the crash sequence.
Yes.
And then you move into you get the stick 'em up sequence.
Yeah.
And you get the shoot at your opposite car sequence before you go into a finale sequence. Like they all feel very different.
And then it gets out of control by the end.
Yeah.
It builds beautifully.
Yeah.
Even the queue helps do a lot of that lifting by, building the story and enter a World's Fair. So even before you even get on the ride, I feel like you're getting like some sort of attraction or.
Also the soundbite, Don't Shoot 6 vs. 1 also would place me on this.
That's true. That's a good one.
Yeah, I think this is a pass for the premature detraculation test, honestly.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move forward then. 5 for 7. Test number 8, the Run It Back test. Is there enough in the experience offered to warrant multiple re-rides? Do you have enough bounce after this ride to ride it again?
last week I was at Universal. I was touring one of their hotels, and I was like, well, you know what? I'm going.
Delanova?
Yeah, no, not well. I've been in Celanova. Last week I was at Aventura, but Celanova was a few weeks ago. Aventura is cool. A robot brings you towels. I was shocked. I was like, here? But it was great. It will take a selfie with you. And what the? It was really wild. Anyway, that's not important to this.
Let me put my robe on first.
Yeah. But I walked over to Universal and I was like, I'm going to ride Men in Black. And I rode it twice because I was right there. I wasn't happy with my first score. I was like, it would be cool if
Are you ever though?
No, I'm not going to be happy till it's perfect. But
I think that in and of itself is enough to warrant multiple rewrites. You're discovering new aliens. You're trying to improve your score. It's inherent that you have to reride this ride. And if you have the ability to run it back right again, you will.
And on top of all that, there's 2 tracks with different views.
That's true.
Yeah.
2 different unique experiences and 35 unique endings. I think it's pretty safe to say this is a rewritable ride.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pass for me.
Pass.
Moving on. That is now 6. Byron, I don't even have to hear what you have to say. You say it with your eyes.
It's for the best.
Wait, do you have this as a no?
I think once is good in a day.
I'm going to fight Byron in the past.
That's crazy. You think once is good in the day?
I think so. But once again, I've only been on it once. But I remember when I got off it, I remember wow, that was much better than I expected. But I'm good.
You scored low, huh?
The truth comes out. Like, this is an astroplex. What's wrong with this gun? Byron, Annie, what's your code? I'm not to fucking do this shit. Oh, nice. Now I know his code. So it's a fail for Byron. That's fine. You could shout into the abyss.
Honestly, it's an easier no because you 2 passed it though. I don't feel great about that no.
But you don't have to.
There's a lot of
little
people.
wiener, dude. Honestly, this is so you. You'll wait to just kind of I'm going to tell the story now. This is there. One time, Byron and I went to Five Guys.
Oh, really? The Five Guys?
Yeah, I'm telling the Five Guys story.
This has nothing to do with
it. It does actually have a lot to do with the Five Guys story because it's in the same spirit.
If you know Five Guys, they'll give you an enormous bag of fries, way too many fries. But Byron, my friend Roland and I clocked that Byron does this thing where he will not order fries at Five Guys because he knows everyone else is going to order fries and they can't finish them, so he could have the fries. And so we finally, as a group, acknowledged, hey, we know you're doing this. We are not going to let you have any of our fries. And in fact, we're going to eat all of our fries just to spite you.
How'd that go for you?
So we did do that. We ordered our own fries. We did not let him have any. We finished it. I was stuffed. And as we're sitting there and I'm rubbing my belly because it's so full, this lady walks up to the table and is like, hey, boys, I have all these fries.
Oh.
I don't think I could finish them. Do you want them? And Byron looks up to her, turns his head very slowly to her and goes, yes, I would like those fries.
Oh.
And I was furious.
That's insane.
And it's the same kind of spirit of waiting for you and I to vote for something. So
we ordered the fries.
We ordered the fries. Yeah, he's sneaking in at the end.
Look, if I was more familiar with this ride, I feel like for attractions I'm very passionate about or have more experience with,
He's all flustered now.
Yeah. Look, I had the easy way out there. I have dimensions. You guys got it through. I don't think I voted. I didn't pass this for Toy Story Mania either.
That's because Toy Story Mania is not retrievable.
Chat, let us know if that's true. I don't think that's true. I think he did pass it.
If I did pass it for Toy Story Mania, then I guess this deserves a pass as well. Because I'd say the
O.J. Simpson over here. I didn't do it, but if I did, here's how I would have. Fucking unbelievable. All right, let's move over to test number 9. That's 6 for 8. We're already in debate land, by the way.
Ooh.
Test number 9, the exit through the gift shop test. Would you, in theory, pick up merch for this ride as you exit through the gift shop? Basically, does this ride inspire you to sport your love for it?
My first thought was fail. Because also, this gift shop is wild. There is a small portion that is Men in Black merchandise right immediately off the exit ramp. And then the rest is Marvel.
What?
Anime.
Okay.
Dragon Ball Z. And occasionally Universal Monsters or the seasonal merch. And that's most of the gift shop.
Now, I do want to clarify that this is not a review of the actual merch being offered in the gift shop.
Yeah.
This is more just the idea of hey, I want to purchase merch for this. I will seek it out.
I think that's telling, right? Like, probably no, if they've revamped the merch to be mostly only.
I guess here's a better way to rephrase this. Would you be embarrassed wearing a Men in Black Alien Attack shirt out in public, or would you even want to do that?
Absolutely not. I would 100% do this. I also think I want to give this points because the ride photo for this, which I don't know, you can tell me if this doesn't really fit in this category, but the ride photo for this is one of the coolest Universal ride photos.
Yes.
Because there are tons of additions they could do to the ride photo. They could put little aliens on there. They can do seasonal overlays, and they'll crop it to be just you and your party, which is really cool. And it's just a sick photo because you're in those like cool alien cars with your little zapper. I do own Men in Black Alien Attack merch. I have a pin of the zapper.
Nice.
So, you know, I've been inspired. So I guess I would pass it from that perspective. I just don't know. Like, I'm insane. I just want, like, I'm trying to be objective.
You don't think there's opportunities in this attraction that would warrant like a cool thing to wear and support it? It seems like, I don't want to say it's a cold following for this, but I feel like a lot of theme park sickos like have a reverence for this ride. You include it.
Yes, as one of said sickos. This is actually interesting because I also think if I'm walking in the theme park, I'm in Disneyland, I see someone wearing an Astro Blaster shirt, I'm gonna be like, weird flex. Okay. If I see someone wearing a Men in Black Alien Attack shirt, I'm gonna be like, hey,
one of us.
Like it feels like a universal, like OG kind of feel. Whereas Astro Blasters isn't that. Like if you want to feel like a Disney OG, you're wearing Tiki Room merch. This does have a bit of like, it's cool that you're in the cult following.
I think that's why I like this test, because it allows rides that are in the cult kind of category to get their day in the sun, I would say.
Yeah, a good example is like Journey into Imagination. By no means a world-class attraction, but people will wear the fuck out of that.
Or
merch.
they'll stand in line for a popcorn
It's
bucket.
created a culture.
I have that popcorn bucket.
Did you wait in the line?
No.
Damn, is lucky.
Yeah. So like, just because like an attraction isn't like the biggest e-ticket kind of thing, doesn't mean it could like cultivate some sort of community or like inside jokes. And yeah, I mean, like what? You're not like, there's got to be some way to like make some joke about the red button.
The logo, the Men in Black Alien Attack logo is also sick.
It's actually pretty cool.
Like it's dope. Like it's like the Men in Black logo on its own, like MIB, that's cool. And the Alien Attack they've done is also like, it's a cool graphic.
Also, I want that Neuralyzer. Byron, what do you got here?
Yeah, I think it's a pass.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Cool. Pass.
All right. Then that's 7 out of 9, which means this is officially a world-class attraction.
Whoa. Now let's move to the last test.
They should sell suits.
They should.
They should sell, like, that's what I would be inspired to buy getting off that ride.
Or like if you get Galactic Defender, they should sell you like a Galactic Defender, like an MIB identification badge.
That would be sick.
Kind of like they do the driver's licenses at like Autopia.
Yeah.
Even
They charge you for that now.
I know, but like I would probably buy an MIB identification card.
I 100%.
If I got Galactic Defender,
I would have 10.
That'd actually be pretty sick where like if you buy one of those cards, like they'll like interact with you differently, like the team members when you go on the ride.
That'd be cool.
Mr. Stanford, I didn't really.
Hell, I didn't know you were coming today. That's what they're going to say when I come in the suit.
That's right.
Yeah.
Moving on to the final test, the fine wine test. Has this ride aged well? Has your opinion of the attraction appreciated or depreciated since your first experience? Or if it's a new ride, do you believe it will age well? Let's open this can of worms.
I feel like external stuff hasn't really had an effect on this ride as much outside of maybe like, I don't know, Will Smith slapping Chris Rock. Like that's... But it's like outside of the fact that like Men in Black has become less popular, I think there's been a minor depreciation from that perspective. It teeters towards it's depreciated a bit, but I don't know. You're making a face.
I'm torn here. So
yeah.
So what would you vote it then?
I would like to abstain at this time. Okay, that's fair. I'm taking the Byron approach.
You'll take the fries.
Take the fries.
Yeah, you guys can order fries. I'm not.
Pretty good. I don't know if they have Five Guys in Orlando. But
They do.
No, they do.
Yeah.
Or if not, go to Culver's.
Everyone's familiar with the giant paper bag of fries.
The grease spots.
Just like dripping out of that.
Yeah.
That sounds really good.
We go to Five Guys. I'm really back and forth because on one hand, from a functional standpoint, maybe not firing on all cylinders anymore, especially with the animatronics. Like, and then my personal opinion though, where I used to think nothing of this ride and not even think it's worth my time, that's definitely appreciated. But if I'm going to be completely objective for the general public, I think the most appreciation comes from the lack of other shooter rides reaching this level. I feel like it's been more stagnant. It's impressive that it's been around since 2000.
Yes.
I have a question that I think will help us here. The ride in general is pretty well upkept compared to other Universal attractions and other Disney attractions.
That's fair.
Like nothing, it's really rare to ride through this ride and have an obvious effect not working.
Like the gun not working.
Like the gun not working or something like that. I can max out the score on both guns on Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin in Disney World every single time I ride it. And 90% of the time it's
As off, like dual wielding?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Every single time. I like
Every single time.
Every single time.
Ladies.
A lot of the time that's way easier because Buzz stops so often. It's true. Which of course has to do with the loading of Buzz, but Buzz, a lot of times stuff doesn't work and the ride stops near a high value target and that's how I'm scoring so high.
I could attest to that.
And this ride, I think I've stopped on it like one time. And I was like, what? Like it'll go down like any ride will, but it's like, I feel like the ride generally works better than like a lot of stuff that's that old.
That's fair.
I don't think I asked. I think I said I was going to ask a question and I didn't ask one.
Okay, I'll leave it to you. Do you want to give what was your verdict, Byron?
I was finishing it. Because I'll also add, what other shooter ride actually feels like a dark ride without just mainly being shooter with, here are some targets.
That's a really good point.
It's one of those things where like it appreciates to me in the sense that as time has gone on, it hasn't been executed as well.
That's
it's been trying to do. And for that, I have to get it over the edge with a pass, I think.
That, for me, I was actually going to fail it. That makes me want to pass it. I was going to fail it because I think that the ride's depreciated but that's true. Dark rides are now valuable.
Don't feel bad about it. He passed E.T.
I think that's a pass. I think it's still a pass.
I have the same argument with that, though. I agree. I do think E.T. is a pass as well.
Yeah. Well, I think dark rides are
at a premium right now.
Are a premium. You just don't get them anymore. And when you have a good dark ride,
most times I'm on a shooter ride. I have to go to work. I feel like I have to go to work. And I'm not appreciative. But when I remember that when I was on MIB Alien Attack, I actually felt like I was enjoying a ride. Well, I'm also having the ability, probably my score probably suffered, but it did feel like I was actually enjoying
you can actually do both on this. Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing that comes close to achieving the level of dark rides while still being a shooter, I guess, is Mario Kart. But I actually I take in the experience and storyline way more on this ride than I would Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was leaning fail too. But the more I thought about it, if you would have asked me this question in 2010, I probably would fail this, honestly. But now with so many screen rides being around, it feels like it has come back with an appreciation for rides that commit to practical storytelling. Even if the practical effects in this have shown their age a little bit, I think the fact that it still exists and there's not quite a lot like it anymore, it has aged well in my head. Similar to kind of Byron's point. So I think I might pass this too, actually. Well, just surprising.
I was convinced.
Look, you could fail it if you want to.
No, I'm so glad I didn't order fries.
So
it's not that bad.
So that's a pass, and that's 8 out of 10. Wow. How about that? Men in Black Alien Attack, a world-class attraction. I really did think it was going to get to 7, or maybe even 6. 8, pretty surprising to me.
It's just old, but it's still kicking.
There's a few on the cusp there, I'm sure. We might get some contradictory opinions.
When I get to
I do, and if so, yes, we can always take it to court. But I mean, this ride does really kick ass.
Yeah. I would get on it more. I wish there was. I mean, it's also an exclusive.
It's true. We can't do it. Yeah.
No other Universal park has this.
Juicy
Because I don't think it's in the international ones too. Right?
It's not.
I don't think so.
It's a juicy exclusive.
I don't know why it's not here, but that I guess it makes it all the more special. So there you go, 8 out of 10.
Well, that does it for this episode of For Your Amusement. Thank you again, Quincy, for joining us.
Thank you.
Is there anything that you'd like to plug here?
If you guys ever want to get some Disney World, Universal Orlando content, sometimes other parks around the world, head over to AllEarsNet on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, anything you can think of, and we'll hook you up.
You've definitely heard of it.
You've been around.
If you're watching, make sure to like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, or if you're listening, please rate the podcast 5 stars and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And consider supporting us by joining our fourth wall and becoming a park hopper, as we're calling it, by heading to fyapod.com. As mentioned up top, it'll help us keep this thing going, and you'll also get up to 3 bonus shows, in addition to the free main show you just watched or listened to. You'll also find our merch there as well. And thank you to everybody who are already park hoppers. Here's 10 names of e-ticketers that we'd like to thank. Raymond L.
Misery.
OX Wooly. Jennifer Galindo. Sam is Spooky, despite popular belief. Caitlin. Band Director Orgs 3. John C. The Popcorn. This next name is so funny. Bowl of Fruit.
That's it?
That's it. And True Hope Faith. Very good. Follow the pod socials at FYA Pod everywhere. I'm at Ryan Bergara. Byron's at Byron A. Marin. What are you, Quincy?
You can find me at AllEarsQuincy or at AllEarsNet.
And thanks for spending your time with us. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you all on the next ride. Bye-bye. Oh, what's Byron doing? Oh, he's... Oh,
That's so
good!
That's good.
That's so
That was
good.
really
For the
good.
live listeners, he just neuralized you.
Yeah, you guys have been neuralized.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bye-bye.